right, hey, what's up, y'all? So recently we had our Hiking 101 seminar and workshop. I thought it was awesome. We had a good crew there. We talked a lot about hiking basics, and even though we called it 101, I felt like it was really useful information even for veteran hikers, because this is stuff that I wish I would have known a long time ago. And we actually followed that up with a hike to Bristlecone Loop Trail up at Mount Charleston. That was really nice. And so we shot a professional course, we put it together, it's in our community website, and I wanted to share with you a piece of information out of it that I thought was really useful, and that is how to find a trail, all right? Now think about why we want to even consider hiking in the first place. We have sacrificed convenience and technology for our health because we are completely disconnected from the way we're meant to be. And I'm talking specifically about being outside and being in contact with nature on a regular basis. We're disconnected physically, we're disconnected emotionally, and the way that we're meant to be is connected with nature on a regular basis and outdoors on a regular basis. And one of the easiest and fastest and quickest ways to do that is to go hiking. We recommend maybe once a week or once every 2 weeks. All right, but the big question is, like, how do you find a trail? I remember we were in this workshop and I asked everyone there, like, how many people like hiking? Everybody, raised their hand. How many of us know how to find a trail? Not many of us really knew how to find a trail. I said, so if you wanted to go hiking, where would you go? And so we're talking to people that were all here in Vegas, and everyone said Red Rock. And then I was like, okay, yeah, Red Rock. So where would you go to Red Rock? And everybody's kind of like, I don't know, So, and I think that's where most people are, right? You want to go hiking, but you're not really sure where to go. And the risk you run there is going out, randomly trying to find some kind of a trail and it not meeting your expectations, or it being too long or too challenging or too hot, too miserable. You're not seeing the sights that you want to see. And so it's useful to understand how to find a freaking trail, all right? Now you can go by word of mouth, you can ask friends and stuff, but there's a bunch of really good resources out there. So the first resource, which is really good, is the National Forest Service. They actually have a web portal where you can go and search for hiking trails, you can search for camping spots. The only limitation here is it's going to be limited to national forest and registered trails, all right? So luckily, we have a national forest here up at Mount Charleston, so there's some trails up at Mount Charleston that will show up on this resource. But outside of that, you're not going to see anything in our close proximity like at Red Rock or anywhere else. Another really good resource for finding trails is going to be books. Like, there's a ton of books on the best places to hike in the nation, the best places to hike by state and other geographical locations. A really great place to look for this is if you go to REI or REI's website, rei.com, you can actually search for hiking and guidebooks related to different geographical locations. So if you like to have something in hand, I think that's really useful. I've got a couple of books here in my office and they're great to kind of flip through and get some ideas of where you want to go. But I think the best way to research a trail is going to be by using an app and a website, all right? We've tried a lot of different ones, and the one that I like the best is AllTrails. AllTrails has, I think, over 100,000 different trails and hikes, and a lot of people use it. And these people, it's a interactive resource, so people are constantly uploading their own trails that they've actually explored and experimented with. And so you get a lot of feedback and a lot of fine-tuning with it. And what's really cool about it is you have a phone application that mirrors a web-based application or a web-based website. And when you go in here, you can search for a trail based on location. You can see all the best trails in the location that you search, and you can also search by different criteria like distance and elevation gain and change, and all kinds of other things. So you can actually help yourself determine which trail it is that you want to choose based on the things that you're actually looking for. Now the question is, like, how would you choose a trail? Like, how would you know what things to look for? Well, we put together some criteria. So just a little bit of thought goes a long ways when you're planning for a trail or a hike, because again, it's not often that we get out here and do this, or I think for most of us, it's not going to be that often. So we want to make sure that we're using the best use of time and we're getting a trail that we actually really enjoy, and maybe we're trying to accomplish some fitness goals and make it slightly challenging or something like that. So just putting some thought and research into it goes a really long way. So the first thing you want to think about is maybe how much time do you have? right? Usually when I go on a hike, I'd like to be back by noon or 1 o'clock in the afternoon so I can spend the rest of my day doing some other stuff, all right? So how long is important. So you have to estimate how long your hike is going to take, but then you also have to factor in your commute time and your parking, and always be conservative and probably add an extra hour to that, all right? Your fitness level is important. So we'd recommend, especially starting out, don't try to be a hero. Don't try to go out and do some crazy hike that looks absolutely beautiful and amazing, but it ends up being like 15 miles round trip or something if you're not ready for it, all right? So factor in your personal fitness level and what you're trying to accomplish. Also, the distance is going to play a huge role. So if we're trying to figure out a time, estimate maybe about 20 minutes per mile. So if you're going on like a 3-mile hike, you're looking at least an hour, and then maybe give or take some commute time, and give or take a little bit of being conservative, so an extra 30 minutes to an hour. And then elevation gain is something that's really important to consider that a lot of people don't look at. I'm very sensitive to elevation changes. If I get up to the around 10,000 foot mark, then I really start to experience some symptoms. And so also elevation change has a lot to do with how difficult the hike is going to be. And so an increase of 1,000 feet in a mile is a pretty steep elevation change. So you just want to factor that into the difficulty rating. And usually it is, when you look at the AllTrails trails, they'll give you some intensity ratings. But just keep in mind, 1,000 feet increase within a mile is pretty steep, right? Also, time of year and weather. So right now, Red Rock is not my favorite place to go, and I know a lot of people actually love it in the summer. Like it's pretty hot unless you get out there really early or you go late in the evening or something like that. So I like, if I'm going somewhere relatively local, I like Mount Charleston, but then there's also places within 2 or 3 hours driving distance that are beautiful. But time of year and weather, you know, you get into the winter, a lot of places are going to be miserable to hike in the winter because it's so cold and might be snowed and iced over, unless you're looking for that kind of thing. All right, and then finally, you want to consider logistics. So your commuting, your parking, who you're going to ride with. Do you need a 4-wheel drive or an off-road vehicle? You know, things like that. Now, there's other things that you want to consider. So as part of this course, like I mentioned before, we just finished putting together this course. This is just one of many courses in our community website. And in this course on Hiking 101, we talk about where we are now, where we could be. This is making an argument for getting out and hiking on a regular basis, how to find a partner in a community to partner up for accountability and safety and creativity. We just covered how to find a trail, so a lot of that information is in there, but we have our links and resources and PDFs and handouts. And then we also talk about equipment that you want to consider for a hike, depending on how long the hike is. So we have basic equipment, and then we also have what we call our 10 essentials. And then very important is the section on setting intentions for your hike, putting a little bit of thought into how you want to handle the hike, how you want to handle your alone time, how you want to handle time with other people is really important for enhancing your experience, okay? So if you want to check out the full course, visit our community website at community.superhumantransformation.com, and we hope to see you in there because it is freaking amazing.